Good morning, my good friends. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to my live stream. Good morning. How are you? I am Andre Lefevre. Andre Lefevre. I am an extreme libertarian, a citizen journalist. My website is wildnews.us. Uh, want to talk today. I have a pretty good live stream for us today. I want to talk today about Sunspot Solar Observatory. Is it possible that its closure and reopening has to do with a murder mystery in the local geography? Sunspot Solar Observatory was reopened this week after being shut down by FBI on September 6th. The official story behind its closure was that the closure was a part of a criminal investigation in the local area. A hiker was found dead on September 12 in the nearby White Sands National Monument Trail. It is unknown if his death is in any way related to the observatory's closure. I called FBI both in Washington, D.C. and in Albuquerque, and I actually spoke to people in Washington, D.C., but they claimed they had no knowledge of what's going on in New Mexico, so they referred me to the FBI office in Albuquerque, and I left a message for a agent out there. Hopefully, he'll return my call. To my surprise, when I left a message at the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., I did receive a call back. I also called New Mexico State Police and briefly spoke to Lieutenant Elizabeth, let's see, to Lieutenant Elizabeth Armijo, and she didn't want to talk about the subject. She said she was short on time and asked me to email her the questions, which I will do after this broadcast. Um, the reason that I myself and some other independent citizen journalists are tying this into the and what happened here, tying this into the local murder is an article in the local press. There are a few of them. This one is from Albuquerque Journal, and it is dated September 14th of this year. White Sands National Monument. The New Mexico State Police continue their investigation of a man who died while hiking on a trail at White Sands National Monument Wednesday night, according to a National Park Service press release. According to NPC release, while closing WSNM, and it's probably White Sands National Monument, park rangers discovered an unattended vehicle in the Alcali Flat Trail parking lot. After searching in the immediate area, park rangers expanded their search to the Alcali Flat Trail, where they discovered an unresponsive man about half a mile from trail bed between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. Press release states. And this gentleman died apparently, and the whole that spot is roughly 30 miles away from the Sunspot Observatory. Another article is from El Paso Times, and this one was posted. Let's see. There's a timestamp up here. Yeah, hiker found dead on the same White Sands Trail where French couple died in 2015, and it's September 14th also. White Sands National Monument, a hiker was found dead. Oops. A hiker was found dead on a trail at White Sands National Monument on Wednesday night, according to the National Park Service. Park rangers found in an unattended vehicle. It looks like it's the same press release, just recycled. Anyways, again, FBI didn't say anything, but the New Mexico State Police, Lieutenant Lieutenant Armijo. I did spoke to her briefly, but she wouldn't say anything. So she asked me to email her information, which I will after I'm done, see if I can get any more clarification. Apparently, there was a French couple that died 2 years ago. What I'd like to do is for us to listen to some corporate controlled news, how it's being covered, and then I have a clip from Leak Project, which is obviously an independent citizen journalist, and let's get a flavor of what's going on. So fair use. Let me restart this. Here we go.
Well, we have an update, not a full one, but a partial update on a very weird story, the closure of the Sunspot Solar Observatory in New Mexico. Now, it was shut down for nearly 2 weeks. The observatory is finally reopened. It happened today. In a statement, the observatory explained that it was closed to cooperate with law enforcement who are investigating some kind of criminal activity on a nearby mountain peak. They suggested there was a dangerous person afoot, and that's why they had to make everyone evacuate. They still won't say what the crime was or why a mandatory mass evacuation of people was.
I'm sorry, folks. Let's see. Let me try. I had to restart it again.
Well, we have an update, not a full one, but a partial update on a very weird story, the closure of the Sunspot Solar Observatory in New Mexico. Now, it was shut down for nearly 2 weeks. Investigation. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's not, but we're going to stay on it and continue our own independent investigation.
All right, so that
when you drive up to the Sunspot.
That was Tucker Carlson, obviously. The next one is from KOAT7, which is local New Mexico station. So let's listen how they're covering this.
Solar Observatory, you can drive right through. Both the yellow caution tape and the stop sign are gone, but there is an armed security company patrolling the property.
Just to make sure that everyone's safe and sound, nobody's houses are getting broken into, and everyone's A-okay.
Guards from Red Rock Security and Patrol have been working in Sunspot since Friday morning, while the observatory and the community around it was still closed off.
We turned away, I think it was 150 plus people that were coming up.
They no longer need to turn people away, but the reason for the closure and evacuations remains a mystery.
There was a lot of people, you know, that came this morning. They were like, so what's going on? And had so many questions. And the only thing that I could tell them is, I'm just as clueless as you are, and I'm just as curious.
The Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, or AURA, initially told us the observatory had to be evacuated on September 6th due to a security issue. But that's all they would say. Now AURA tells me there is an ongoing law enforcement investigation of criminal activity that occurred at Sacramento Peak. Also saying, we became concerned that a suspect in the investigation potentially posed a threat to the safety of local staff and residents. I asked AURA who the suspect is, what charges they're facing, what kind of criminal activity took place. I also asked why there was only caution tape at the entrance and why no one was guarding it. AURA responded to me saying it can't comment on an ongoing law enforcement investigation. One of the staff members here tells me the big focus today is rebooting computers and getting everything back up and running that hasn't been touched in nearly 2 weeks. Reporting from Sunspot, Justin Matthews, KOAT, Action 7 News.
So that was the corporate-controlled media take. I want to say a couple of words. The criminal investigation would explain why they also evacuated the local post office. It is, since there were no federal troops guarding the facility, for those 2 weeks that it was closed, and there were people that went in there and actually videotaped what was going on, which was totally abandoned and empty. I don't know, the theories that were thrown around that there was an impending solar flare and they shut it down not to alarm the public, or there was an espionage by the Chinese theory that that somehow Chinese hacked into the observatory and were spying on the White Sands missile range, which is close by. And neither one of those stories have really panned out, but I have to say they really don't know. There's very little information. I also wouldn't put past our government to use this as a cover story. The whole thing is extremely strange. On the 6th, FBI evacuated the observatory and the local post office, yet they didn't leave a lot of security, so people could walk into the area and actually film it. Let me play you the leak project, the portion of the leak project video. Let's see here. Let me find it. And we'll talk some more about this after we listen to leak project.
Now let me share with you the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, or AURA, statement about the status of the Sunspot Solar Observatory at Sacramento Peak, New Mexico. September 16th, 2018. On September 6th, the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, AURA, and the National Science Foundation made the decision to temporarily vacate the Sunspot Solar Observatory at Sacramento Peak, New Mexico, as a precautionary measure while addressing a security issue. The facility closed down in an orderly fashion and is now reopening. The residents that vacated their homes will be returning to the site, and all employees will return to work this week. AURA has been cooperating with an ongoing law enforcement investigation of criminal activity that occurred at Sacramento Peak. During this time, we became concerned that a suspect in the investigation potentially posed a threat to the safety of local staff and residents. For this reason, AURA temporarily vacated the facility and ceased science activities at this location. This is one of the theories that one of the hypothesis scenarios that I gave when I first did the podcast about the closure of Sunspot. And my information was based upon an article that I read the year before where they said that they were doing tours for the eclipse, but then they were going to be closing down the facility soon after. And they were talking about how people were upset because there used to be a lot of jobs out there, and now everything's moving to Colorado. So I questioned that as saying, okay, well, maybe there was some type of threat, security threat. Now,
So this is the extent of the information that we have. The whole The whole thing doesn't really make a lot of sense. It really doesn't. The criminal investigation could be a cover story for something else, or could be true. Since law enforcement doesn't just, in my experience, when there's something really heavy going on, FBI doesn't call you back, and local law enforcement just brushes you off. That did not happen in my phone calls to FBI this morning and on to the New Mexico State Police. It almost sounded like they did want to issue a statement of some kind. So if you have any information about this, please contact me. My contact information is on my website, wellnews.us. Just go to contact info. My cell phone and my email address is on there. And if you are interested in this, if you have some information, or you're just interested in discussing this on my live stream, if you think you have some interesting input, some ideas, or some interesting speculations, I'd be very happy to talk to you on a live stream, on a Skype or a telephone. I have to get back to work. I am a true blue citizen journalist. This is my hobby. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate it a lot more than I can ever say. And God bless you. God bless you. If I don't have time to live stream today, I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye.